Right, let's get cracking, Louis. My name's Keen Hanlon. I am the student ambassador for DCU for Biomedical Engineering. I'm in second year. I went to school up in Artane, up in Davids, if anybody's from around there. And I'm just here to talk just a small bit about kind of my knowledge about biomedical engineering in DCU. So like the course in general and like course life itself. As I said, I'm only in second year, only second semester, second year. Had my first lectures of second semester on Monday, so my knowledge isn't as profound as some other people, but I'll do my best to help anybody. And if anybody has any questions, just throw them in along the way, and we'll get started anyways. So the CAO the code for the course is DC197. I'll type it into the chat here, and you can go onto like careers portal um and stuff like that for any other information that people need. You can get stuff like entry requirements. I have most of it on here, but like for afterwards, if you need it, you just can use it for that. Right, first slide. So it is a 4 year course, and then you can do a master's as well. So it can be up to a 5 year course. And then in year three, you have intro, which is your work placement. So if that happens in second semester of third year, so you get kind of like your January, February in college, and you'll still have exams as well at the end of the year, but you'll have work placement as well that you can find yourself, and you kind of be pitted against everybody in your course to kind of be the best one to get the best. So for biomed, it's the highest points for engineering. So I didn't go through the biomed route myself. I went through common entry. Um, it really honestly doesn't matter which engineering you pick. So if you're kind of dead set on doing engineering in DCU, I'd say put them all down in a row. If you get the one you want, happy days. But you get options to switch at the end of the year, and they really encourage switching. They kind of it's built around you wanting to. It's built around you, and then want DCU wanting to help you figure out which engineering is best for you, and you get so many opportunities just to switch out. Everybody in first year does the same thing as well. It's all general. It's all to get everybody up to the same speed. Um, Entry requirements for DCU are on the website, and then for any of the engineering courses, it's a minimum H4 in maths or a H5 minimum and a H4 in applied maths. So if that's something you're worried about as well, I'd say focus heavy on the maths. It's very physics based as well. So if you do physics, that does help, and especially with biomed, biology is a great help. I didn't do biology in school, but I'm working my socks off to make up for that at the moment. So if you do biology and you're going into biomed, it's a great mix. Like in biomed itself, there is a really good balance of biology and then mathematical sciences, which is your physics, your maths, your applied maths, and stuff like that. In first year, again, it's all general. You have one biology module for half a semester, and that's kind of what pushed me from common to biomed was that. But I know for other people, we had a lot of electronic stuff, and then they went into EC, which is electronic and computer, or they went into ME, which is mechatronic, and so on and so forth. So it's really about finding what's best for you with what you're given in first year. Right. Also, so practical. It's like you're doing so much with your hands in college, especially in DCU. Not everywhere is as practical as DCU. I'd say it's quite possibly the most practical. A lot of theory as well, but you're in labs every single day for multiple hours, which is what I find really cool about it. Next slide. Engineering at DCU. So as I say, yeah, DCU engineering focuses on choosing what courses for you. They really help with that. Like there's so much guidance. The lecturers are great, especially in first year. You can talk to them, talk to counselors, stuff like that. You get talks from like the chairs of the programs as well, and it's so helpful. Like they will specifically help you if you're struggling to pick which one's for you. Um, Again, understanding the structure of engineering in DCU is very important, I'd say. So I know people who didn't get into engineering in DCU, they got into engineering in other places, but they didn't know the structure for CAO, for DCU engineering, which is it doesn't matter what one you pick. Like I'd say number one, pick the one that you want for you. If that's biomed, happy. But pick the one you want for you. And if you really want it, I'd say just put them all down and you can go through. And if it turns out that biomed isn't the one for you, you can switch. If it turns out that ME and you really like the biology side, you can go into biology and biomed. It's really great in that way, and it is quite important to understand that the structure really does open a lot of doors for everybody. Again, very practical. So much focus on real world elements of engineering. Again, you're in labs. I have on like one of my next slides, I think it might be the next one. I have our first year project, which is an AGV, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. And focusing in on biomed, um, biomed really focuses on real world life based problems and creating an understanding on how to solve the issues with like a sort of mathematical and theoretical approach. Like if you do physics, you're doing kind of moments around joints. If you're to make like prosthetics, you have biomaterials again for prosthetics. There's a lot of stuff around this. You talk about. I know it's so broad. That's the great thing about biomed. You can go into sort of making equipment for the industry. You can go into making prosthetics. There's so much you can do with it, but it is real world kind of life based problems that you're out here trying to solve with a mathematical approach. It is very heavy on maths. It's very heavy on physics, but if that's your style, then you will enjoy it. Hey, next slide. And if anybody has any questions, again, just throw them in. I'll answer as many as I can. Core structure. It's fairly straightforward. Year one, again, everybody has the same year one, no matter what you're choosing. Anybody has any questions on them, throw them in and I'll answer, but you can see them up there. And again, they're on DCU's website as well. Year two is where you kind of start to differ. So for biomed, we exclusively had how life works. I now have anatomy and physiology, and I also have biomechanics of human movement. So they're my kind of like three modules that are specific to biomed. Circuits I do with mechatronic, maths we do with everybody, thermodynamics we do with everybody bar ECE, I think. So it is like everything is so interlocked, especially with biomed. You do a lot with CAM, which is mechanical engineering. It's great. Like it is kind of like one big family at the end of the day. You're with these people for the next 4 years, and everything's kind of interlinked. You have projects together as well, so it is. And there's a lot of group work as well, so it is great for kind of building that. I don't know, building that group for like the industry and having connections, having your LinkedIn and stuff like that is quite important. Again, move on to year three, everything starts to become more focused on biology and biomed. And then year four, your final year, it's almost exclude. Like you have biomaterials, you have your fourth year project, which is kind of what you're here to do. One of the big modules is finite element analysis. That's kind of like the big chunk of fourth year. Again, any questions, just throw them down below. I'm just going to rifle through all this. Next slide. Right. So this is the project that you do in first year. No matter what engineering you choose, if you're in mechanical, if you're in biomed, this is it. You make an automated guided vehicle, an AGV, and you're making it on a CAD software. So you're building it on a computer using maths. It's very like maths heavy. Maths, you're drawing it on there. You're kind of making 3D models, and then from that, you're going to actually build the car yourself. Like you get the sheets of aluminium, you get your monitors, you get your PCB, and you hook all them up together. It is quite enjoyable. It's probably the best part about engineering is these kind of group based large projects. Uh, that's not the only project as well. So in first year, you'll have your coding projects and you'll have your electronics labs. You have them. You have coding in second semester, electronics labs in first semester, and those are on a weekly basis where you're following kind of guides and like tutorials, kind of like experiments for leaving cert. Like you have your experiment book, you'll be going through all that, and then you get your kind of bigger stuff towards the end of the year. And then in second year, first semester, you have thermodynamics labs. So you're going into these kind of massive rooms and looking at water tanks and heat pumps and stuff like that and how they work, and everything's kind of cut in half so you can and segmented so you can see what's actually happening, which is it's quite enjoyable to do. Next, so progression, careers, and supports. So for biomed and for most of them, most engineering in DCU, You can do what's called an integrated master's. So if your grades are over a 2.2, as far as I know, um, and you apply for it, you can do an integrated master's, means you do your master's alongside your bachelor's. So it's less stress going into like a specific master's year in your fifth year. Again, you can do a traditional master's if that's what you want, or you can go into education. You can do your training for education, and you can be qualified leaving certificate teachers if that's what interests you. Careers, medical device injury, injury industry. Sorry, medical device industry. So you're making monitors. You can be making prosthetics, prosthesis, and you can imagine in the medical industry that involves kind of electronics and stuff like that is what you'll be working on. Working in healthcare or again education. And then DCU supports as well. DCU is a fantastic college for student support. So obviously, people watching here are on Unibuddy. It's not That's not DCU exclusive, but Unibuddy is a great help. Your professors and lecturers, especially in first year, they're great help just to talk to, get to know, get their advice on what you should think. There's great mental health support and then financial support as well in DCU throughout all of your years. That's pretty much it now. If anybody has any questions, please do throw them down below, or if anybody wants me to go over anything again, please do let me know. But thank you very much for listening, guys, and I'll sit here for the next few minutes. And if anybody wants to fire away a question, please do. So I have the question there, Eleanor. Thank you very much. You can change course at the end of the year. There's no need or like kind of reason to change course during the year because in first year everything's all the same. And you will have kind of a designated talk and a designated slot for everybody, no matter what. If you choose biomed, if you choose common, you get the exact same sheet to fill out, and you'll put your first choice first. If you stick with biomed, you have it as your first choice, you're guaranteed entry into that. If you're in common, you're kind of not guaranteed entry. You can pick which one, and if you're switching, you're also not guaranteed entry. But 99% of the time, you're gonna get entry. I don't think I know anybody this year who didn't get their number one choice. But yeah, at the end of the year, you'll be given like a designated slot. It's kind of like a 2 week period where you'll be asked to fill out this form and then submit it with all your choices. Hope that helps. Thanks for the question, Colette. You don't need to get certain grades. You need to pass the course. So if you pass the course, if you pass first year, you're on to second year. It's you're kind of you get ranked on your class. So like in common entry, let's say there's like 300 people, you'll be given like a rank at the bottom, and that's kind of an indicator as to where you sit in relation to getting the specialism you chose at the end of the year. Now, as I said, I don't know anybody this year who didn't get the one they wanted. Most times they do. Like sometimes if the class is very big, there's a chance that you'll get your second. But once you pass the year and you pick which one you want, you should be able to get that one. And then if not, you'll be on to your second, so on and so forth. But you don't have to get anything in specific just once you pass the year. About students from other countries, yes, it's a very, very, very diverse course. There's like we have currently in our maths class, we have kind of like French exchange students who are over for this semester. But yeah, very diverse course. People from places I didn't even kind of imagine I'd ever meet people from. Yeah, so many people from different countries as well. It is really great kind of networking course as well because there's so many people in it. So Benjamin grade that's considered a pass is 40%. It's but like it's so when you go into your kind of exam period, you'll have these things called CAs, which are continuous assessment, and you'll have your exams as well. So take for example, I don't know, your CA is worth 20% and your exam is worth 80%. You just need to overall get 40% to pass, and then you are through kind of if you get what I mean. So you kind of you don't have to specifically pass the exam. Once you get an overall grade of over 40%, you've passed. There you go. I'm back off mute. So for hours per week for lectures, um, I'd say you'd be looking for lectures specifically. You'd be looking in between kind of 20 and 35. But you also have tutorials, which are usually hour slots or maybe 2 hour slots, and you have labs, which are usually a minimum of 2 hours, bar like kind of one or two labs that only happen once in the year that aren't kind of repeated. So you're looking at 20, 35, depending, because some days you won't have certain lectures. They can be they can be counted as tutorials as well. It's just down to the professors and who you have. So it can get like it is a very busy schedule. So most days you'd be in from 9 to 5 with maybe 2 1 hour breaks. And then like when you get further into second year, you might have kind of longer breaks than some of your friends. Like I know for today I had a 3 hour break. I had a class from 9 to 11, didn't have a class till 2. I had a 3 hour break. And I know like the mechatronics students were in for 2 hours after that as well. So it is depending on what you're picking, it does change, but I'd say you kind of safe bet in around 30 hours a week. 9 to 5 most days, you could take it as that. And if anybody has any more questions, just fire them away. We have, I think, about 3 minutes left. So anything, even if it's about student, like I can talk a bit about student life. I'm involved with DCU with some fantastic clubs and societies. I know this is a talk about biomed, but student life is very important in the course that you choose because it is about maintaining a solid base of a foundation of good mental health as well along the way because it can get very stressful towards exam periods. So it is great to have that kind of relief and fun in college. Right, doesn't seem like there's any more questions. Thank you very much, everybody, for your questions and taking your time to come and watch this talk. If you have any more questions, again, I'm sure most of you have already reached out to me on Uni Buddy, but you can. My name's Keen Hanlon. If you go on, if you look up biomedical engineering and DCU, you scroll down to kind of like the student support, you can see my face there and you can send me a message. So if you have any more questions along the way, even after this, send me a message. If you have a question next week, send me a message. I'll be down to answer. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good rest of your day.